Большая часть нашего увлекательного марафона
Most of our journey is behind us, but we're still gaining steam.
второй день Positive
On day 2 of PhD Fest, we've talked about in-depth changes that the digital era is bringing into our lives, new professions, the demand of the society, and the challenges for the entire humankind. We talked about the contemporary cyber threat landscape. Techniques are getting obsolete while the shadow economy clouds are surrounding us. We analyzed the laws and the technologies that will change the situation for the better to counter cyber crime. We talked about the antiviral solutions and the role of the Russian developers in the international market. We deep dived into cyber insurance. We talked about the obstacles that prevent the market from developing and how to establish collaboration between the public authorities, the insurance companies, and the market. We talked about the burnout and the psychological balance for the cybersecurity guys. We also talked about the investment opportunities in the Russian high-tech market and the companies that deserve attention of the investors. At the end of the day, insights were shared by the Positive Technologies team. We talked about the projects and the ambitious goals of the Positive Technologies team for the upcoming years. Day 2 was quite intensive, but there is more ahead of you. We are ready to kickstart Day 3, the final day of the most exciting Hack Fest of the year. Russia is one of the main targets of attacks for intruders for many reasons. We know that the technologies are rapidly developing and the tools used by adversaries are always improved. What's going to happen to the APT attacks in 5 years? What's going to affect the cyber threat landscape? Experts will try to answer these questions and share their forecast with us. I'd like to invite to the stage Anton Gorelkin, First Deputy Chairman of the State Duma Committee on Information Policy, Information Technologies and Communications. Irina Zinovkina, Head of Analytical Research, Positive Technologies. And Denis Maslenikov, Deputy Head of Analytical Research, Positive Technologies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's a beautiful early morning, and I believe that it's awesome that we are here today. We decided against sleeping in. We arrived here, and we're going to learn about how Russia is going to be attacked in 2030 and what is happening. Right, we've been introduced, but let me introduce the speakers, the panelists to you once again. We have with us Anton, who's going to be addressing our questions, and he will share his views on the issues that we included in the agenda. Well, another panelist is myself, and the last panelist is Denis Maslenikov, who is a great expert on the IoT, and he's going to be talking about that primarily. What we're going to start with is as follows. What cyber attacks are we going to see in 2030? There are three main categories I'd like to touch upon. The first one is automation, the service models embraced by the adversaries. Well, I can name it all as a service because they offer everything, exploits, access to the dark web. If you have the money, you can get access to anything. You can even rent an exploit. It'll be way cheaper than to buy it. Oftentimes, an exploit costs several million US dollars. Therefore, attacks overall are going to be more automated, and adversaries will just push a button and the attack is going to be launched. In the future, beyond 2030, I guess they will be able to automate not just cyber attacks, but also cyber criminal companies. As far as the adversaries are concerned, I would say that their qualifications will go down because they will no longer need any skills, any advanced skills, given all the features, bells and whistles offered by the more qualified cyber criminals. I guess the entry barriers will also be lower, and therefore it'll be easier to attack our critical infrastructure. And the last column is the cyber war. So I'd like to address this question to Anton. Anton, do you think that the cyber war is already raging against Russia? Good morning, everyone. And well, thank you for coming here to Luzhniki at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. You're my heroes. I like. The only reason I came here is that I'm a speaker, I'm a panelist. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come. Well, actually, I love soccer. I'm a huge fan of soccer, so I would prefer that all the battles would happen on a football pitch. But as far as the cyber war is concerned, you know, humankind has existed for less than 10,000 years, while our brains, our emotions, our hormones have been developing for millions of years. We're talking to you here on the stage, but we are all a product of evolution, and it's been a long time since we've been constructed like that. Despite the fact that we build beautiful sports arenas, beautiful cities, despite the fact that we all live in such a pleasant urban environment, we are all still a product of primeval era. And of course, conflicts and wars. Well, I would not say, I would not go so far as to say that it's part of our DNA, but we are great experts on how to wage wars. There have been multiple wars, there have been bloodbaths, and we're going to see more wars in the next thousands of years. 10,000 years from the viewpoint of the evolution or the universe is nothing. It's just
такой уровень глобального сотрудничества.
It's just a piece of sand, so we're going to be torn apart by the various contradictions, and it's quite obvious to me that
Еще раз хочу сказать,
wars is something that we're going to see more of in the future. As far as the cyber wars are concerned,
станет реальностью.
It's going to be a reality.
Она может быть через 5 лет.
It's going to be a reality in 5 years, in 10 years, in 100 years. But I have no doubt whatsoever that it will happen sooner or later. What we're experiencing right now, I would say it's like reconnaissance operations or sabotage operations. But we are getting ready for a full-scale cyber war. And oftentimes, what we mean by preparations to a cyber war is as follows. We tend to hear the following buzzword in social media, which is import substitution. And import substitution is perceived as being a way to calm the public psychology. We are getting ready for a conflict. That's why we're engaged in import substitution. However, it's important that our import substitution reaches a top bar as far as the quality is concerned. Not only should we fend off Somalian hackers, but also some undermining operations against us. Therefore, the quality of import substitution is important. I'm talking about hardware and software alike. I'm talking about import substitution of social platforms and social media. And by the way, this is a very common topic that has been talked a lot. As far as the hardware is concerned, we don't tend to discuss it that much because we have nothing to boast in this domain. Indeed, we have ran into difficulties as far as the chips are concerned and the microelectronics are concerned. And I don't want to be trivial, but it's very important to substitute hardware with our own hardware as opposed to social platforms. We need to have nationally manufactured hardware. to be able to fend off cyber threats. And when the public officials report that the import substitution efforts reached 80%, that's fine. I mean, it's a great figure. But how about quality? How about efficiency? And I believe that there are still a couple of outstanding questions in this regard. If we want to get ready for a full-scale cyber conflict, we should be frank and honest rather than lie in our reports and misinform our bosses. We have to be frank. Well, I'm not saying that we have to go public with that, but at working meetings we should tell each other what needs to be done to get ready for the upcoming wars. The wars and the conflicts are part of who we are, and there will be more wars in the future. Let's be clear on that. And the cyber war is going to happen. The only question is when. It might happen in a decade. It might happen in 50 years, 100 years, 300 years, whatever. But it will happen. And it's not going to start with our being banned from our favorite social media. We're talking about well-controlled attacks against critical infrastructure so that we are bombed into Stone Age. This is what we're talking about. One of the markers of a cyber war, or a full-scale cyber war, when your foreign-made gadgets, such as smartphones, are rendered out of order all of a sudden. That's going to be one of the markers of a cyber war. Thank you so much. Well, of course, we don't want that because, you know, we use smartphones on a daily basis. It's part and parcel of our life. We're not talking about cyber wars right now exactly. There are certain standalone operations aimed at attacking critical infrastructure, but these are, like I said, standalone attacks. And we have yet to hear about an attack that would render ineffective an entire industrial facility. But sooner or later, it's going to happen. I do agree with you. It's only a matter of time. And by 2030, I believe that the adversaries will be ready to attack us on a large scale. And we're going to see what happens with the geopolitics by 2030. If the geopolitics are bad, then the consequences of such attacks are going to be way more severe. As for attacks against Russia, we'll be talking about various technologies, digital in import substitution, and so on and so forth. And to follow up on what you mentioned in terms of import substitution, Russian developed software is great, but it still poses lots of threats for Russian companies. And our counterparts identified lots of vulnerabilities in Russian software, and the number of vulnerabilities has gone up. And the more import-substituted software we're going to offer by 2030, the more attacks we're going to see against software. So this is the persistent trend. As for the APT hack groups, I would say that even if the geopolitics improve in 5 years, they will keep on launching espionage attacks, and they will keep on preparing for a full-scale cyber war. Again, it's just a matter of time. There is no doubt that it's going to happen. As far as the consequences are concerned, as for the cyber war markers, these are attacks against critical infrastructure objects. We're talking about attacks against nuclear power plants, against industrial facilities, transportation industry. And a colleague of mine is going to be talking a lot about digitalizing our whole industries. Of course, so we will have a chance to talk about that at length. These attacks are going to be more devastating for multiple reasons. And it goes without saying that the cyber hygiene level will have to improve by 2030. Well, we don't expect much as far as the public is concerned. Maybe the level of hygiene will remain on the current level, and most of the attacks are going to be automated. The more digital we are, the more point of access we're going to provide for the adversaries. Information wars is something that we're already seeing nowadays, and well, I would not call such operations hostilities in the digital domain, but there are lots of fakes, lots of disinformation and misinformation, and by 2030 it's going to be even more difficult to differentiate between fakes and non-fakes. Deep fakes, by the way, are going to come up to the forefront, and we're not talking about just videos or photos. Oftentimes they are not of high quality. We're talking about real-time deepfakes and entire platforms that adversaries are going to use to hack and attack various companies. Another interesting idea that I just recently saw is that our critical thinking level is going down because we're overloaded with too much information. We tend to trust information. You ask a question addressed to AI, and then we trust it. No one does any double does any double checking, and the number of deepfakes is going to increase by 2030, and information wars are going to become part and parcel of our lives. And it would be interesting to see what the public authorities are going to do to counter fakes happening all around us. As for the techniques, malware is the top vector of attack, but by 2030, its role is going to increase even more, and there are a number of factors that will have an impact on that. For instance, technologies, geopolitics, and technology development will have an impact on malware. Adversaries will no longer develop their own malware, and the dark web market will embrace new models. For instance, there will be pay-per-use models, pay-per-victims of an attack, you name it. The adversaries already have these models, and malware as a service will reach the level 2.0 by 2030, and it will be much easier for the adversaries to use them. As for the cyber wars, of course, malware is going to be used for gaining remote control, remote access, and of course, they will be improving their technologies. They will. As for the supply chain, this is a reference to what you mentioned in terms of the fact that we lack our own hardware, and the process is still underdeveloped. As for the supply chain attacks are concerned, by 2030 we will see more of software attacks against IP addresses, and right now the focus is put on software to a greater extent. By 2030 we will see more attacks against hardware, clouds, IoT, and you name it. There will be backdoors in microchips. In other words, the focus is going to be shifted to hardware, and the non-friendly suppliers will use all these tricks. This is something that we're going to have to live with, and I think this risk will definitely be implemented by 2030. Dennis, we talked about the cyber war in general, and I spoiled part of your presentation, I guess, but nevertheless, will you give us more details on the IoT and how will it impact the attacks by 2030? Good morning, everyone. It's not by chance that I decided to decipher the acronym of IoT as the Internet of Tragedies. If you are engaged in IT security, you probably know the reason for that. It's been a decade since we started talking about the protection level of IoT, but it's still at a very low level. So, by the way, Anton, my next question goes to you. What's your evaluation of the IoT penetration in general in various industries linked with the critical infrastructure? And what do you expect to see by 2030? Well, I already mentioned that public officials love saying that the level of digitalization is high. They give you some percentage points of digitizing things. Of course, digitalization reduces the share of shadow economy. It makes lives of our citizens more convenient, and there are many advantages for businesses. For instance, streamlining OPEXs, improving production processes, and both the public and the private sector agree with each other on this particular issue. And it's very rare when we see such coinciding views. And, well, positive technologies knows what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, this is one of the examples when everyone is happy and everyone agrees with each other. And, of course, you want to maximize digital to make money on everything. And we see the multitude of various contractors and suppliers who want to digitize everything. As for the critical infrastructure, some of my counterparts believe that critical infrastructure should remain analog. It should not be digitized. This is my personal view, but for instance, I wouldn't want to see our nuclear weapons digitized. I trust people more. I'll be frank, I'll be honest. I'll be against digitizing our nuclear weapons. I will even protest against that. So there are some critical aspects that are linked to the life and death aspects. I believe that you would agree with me that we should leave things like that undigitized. So we should be quite critical about digitizing a critically important industry. We should be very careful, and we should be asking ourselves all the time, and be able to answer them. Well, if I try to implement any project, first and foremost, I identify the scope of work, and if the probability of a risk is 1,000%, we'll still take it into account. So we have to be very careful about that. Of course, you can enjoy the process itself, but I don't think that would be the right way to go forward. I don't know what's going to happen with digital by 2030, but given the ongoing rates, I guess we're overdoing some things, and we're going to have to, we will probably pay dearly for that. This is the unhappy forecast. When public officials state facts and figures, do they ever tell you about the level of protection? Well, they don't report to me, so I have no clue. I only see some of the public reports that are published and are in the open access. Oftentimes, I am unable to address the questions that I would like to address to them. But, we are at the Luzhniki Arena, and 80,000 spectators are following us, and that's why I'm, posing the most relevant questions. Thank you so much, Anton. As for the number of IoT devices, by 2030, various analysts say the number will reach over 30 billion devices. IoT, both in Russia and across the world, is used in various industries, including retail, trade. There is such a thing as the industrial IoT, infrastructure IoT. Smart devices are deployed almost everywhere, and that is why adversaries and hackers will try to attack them, because these devices feature a lower level of protection as compared to the devices we use on a daily basis. Cryptojacking would be one of the examples, and devices will be hacked for mining reasons. DDoS attacks and botnets. We believe that botnets based on IoT devices will be something we're going to see in greater numbers by 2030, and adversaries will steal big data, process it with the help of AI, and then use it for their illegal purposes. By the way, as far as the public officials and digitalization are concerned, Sergei Tsivilev, Minister of Energy, was so inspired about digitizing the energy sector and using AI systems, that we were also energized as well. But he also touched upon the necessity to protect smart grids. It's one of the priorities for the energy industry. It's one of the top priorities, I would say, because he realizes that adversaries will pay much attention to misuse, digitalization of various industries, including the power sector, to inflict as much damage on the industries and the country in general as possible. An adjacent topic would be edge computing. And it goes without saying that IT technologies can help you isolate some of the domains, isolate some critical infrastructure, but at the very same time, the adversaries, the hackers, will still have a chance to attack even them with the help of the edge computing technologies. Irina, the floor is yours. Right, this is my favorite topic, digital twins, and that's why I'm going to take the floor as if I were a meteor. Right, digital twins are used in many domains, in many industries, and it'll be hard to name an industry which does not use digital twins. We're talking about agriculture, machine industry, and so on and so forth. But by 2030, the digital twins will probably use open data links, and it'll be easy to link them together, and they will operate in an ecosystem. Digital twins will no longer be standalone systems. They will work as a group. The quality of their work will be improved naturally, but of course that will result in more cyber threats. Attacks against digital twins are going to be en masse, and I don't think that Russia is going to be an exception by 2030. By 2030, digital twins are going to be ubiquitous, and I guess I can give you the following examples of attacks against digital twins in various industries. For instance, if you attack a digital twin of a gas turbine or a smart building or, I don't know, any intelligent system, it'll result in the fact that you can fool sensors or predictive analytic systems, and the system will no longer consider and perceive a critical event as a critical. And these attacks will evolve gradually. It's not like the hackers substitute the entire set of data. They will replace temperature readings, pressure readings, and then the system will stop operating functionally. Well, it's one thing when an HVAC system goes down, is shut down in a building. It's not that important. However, if an industrial facility has to be shut down because of an attack on a digital twin, it's going to be a very sad story. Thank you so much, Irina. Well, I decided to name the next part of the presentation the destination point, just like the horror movies. Do you expect any unmanned vehicles driving on our public roads by 2030? Well, actually, they are already driving on public roads. And back in 2018, Innopolis tested the first such vehicles. And, if I'm not mistaken, there is an unmanned freight train, freight trucks driving between Moscow and St. Pete. We have experimental laws to this effect, and car manufacturers boost their production capacity and smart capacities to develop such vehicles. By 2030, we will be ready for such things technologically wise, but of course we're talking about the richest cities in the world. However, the cultural background of the humankind is less than 10,000 years. We are quite conservative, no matter what they say. And the main obstacle to deploying the unmanned vehicles everywhere is the psychological and the emotional. Well, I asked my own self whether I was ready to trust, to fully trust an automated vehicle that would drive me from point A to point B. I love driving, by the way, but nevertheless,
здесь склонны к этому относиться
people
с недоверием. Я сейчас
tend
говорю
to distrust such technologies. I'm not talking about experts. I'm talking about your ordinary citizen. So the lack of trust will probably become the most important obstacle.
очень такой прокачанный ассистент,
Well,
помогать, который может
automated assistants will be integrated into cars, and in an emergency, for instance, if something happens to the driver, this assistant will start controlling the vehicle. So it's going to be an advanced automated assistant. The technologies will become cheaper, and ultimately, not just expensive cars will be fitted with such assistants, but also lower-end cars. But I'm not sure that by 2030 we're going to see unmanned vehicles driving everywhere. It'll take a generation to happen, and it's going to happen just like a cyber war, but it's going to be in a more distant future.
Thank you. Frankly speaking, I would not be a passenger in a unmanned vehicle. And well, we are moving towards automation and assistance and infrastructure. Probably everything that's related to transportation. We are looking at the emergence of infrastructure that is going to help drivers. That is going to help passengers, like Moscow is testing pilotless tram cars. So probably onboard computers will be, or cloud control systems will be under attack. City infrastructure will also be under attack. Obviously, by 2030, many things in the cities will be better connected, and cities will become smarter. Autonomous driving compromise, assistance compromise, what you were talking about, maybe smart vehicles will be a way of obtaining information, because even now they are capable of many things, and probably they can be controlled with voice commands. It means that they have certain hearing. So cars can be an access point to get information on humans in the car. Geolocation, another related topic. Different options are possible here. Geolocation and autonomous driving is probably what comes to mind is spoofing and damping of the systems and many other options. Speaking about IoT and healthcare, we have already had a discussion around that before the presentation. You said that you are a proponent of AI implementation in healthcare and wearable devices, IoT devices in healthcare. What is the future of this industry in Russia, do you think? Well, speaking about healthcare, healthcare is one of the industries where I'm all in favor of a more active implementation of state-of-the-art technologies, artificial intelligence, gadgets of all kinds. I am a great enthusiast of this technology, because the benefit is several times greater than potential risks. Today, the leading high-tech companies around the world are investing billions of dollars into advanced technologies related to extending their lifespan. I'm talking about American companies primarily. It's one of the more popular ideas. They're extending lifespan, long lives. I don't know whether positive technologies is investing part of its profit into projects like that. I expect not, but probably the day will come when your investors and the visionaries will realize that this is the most important thing for any human. It's the essence of life. It's the main driving force behind life, to have a long life, to be active, to keep developing skills and grow and advance your intelligence. So the healthcare of the future
не только в продлении жизни, но и в том,
will
что мы
be
должны с
focused not
помощью
only
новых
extending
технологий
the
победить
lifespan, but
самые
it
тяжелые
will focus on
истории.
using technology
Поэтому
to
я
fight
считаю, что нам
the
здесь
most
нам в
dangerous
России
diseases.
нужно
So I
вводить
think
специальный
that we need
экспериментально-правовой режим
to
в сфере
introduce a
внедрения
special
технологий
experimental
искусственного интеллекта в
regime
медицину.
for AI in
Почему
healthcare.
Илон Маск
Elon
вживляет
Musk
чипы, благодаря
is
которым люди начинают видеть,
implanting chipsets,
уже людям это внедряет.
enabling people
А в России,
to recover
уважаемые
eyesight.
коллеги, это разрешено только
And in
делать на
Russia,
обезьянках.
you can only test these technologies on monkeys, not humans. Why is that?
Я здесь выступаю за снятие
There
барьеров.
shouldn't be any barriers there. I think that barriers must be removed. So once again, profit is much greater than risks in healthcare.
В медицине очень много и
Of
устаревших
course, there are still many outdated devices and software still in operation in the whole healthcare industry, and we are lagging behind in this respect. We should be more actively using and developing tools to fight Alzheimer's, to fight cancer,
тяжелейшие заболевания, чтобы
to win over other dangerous diseases, to return the eyesight to people who are blind. And I think I'm absolutely positive that devices will enable that. They will make that possible in the next 20, 30 years.
глобально ориентировано на
If
решение
all of
этой проблемы.
humanity focuses on solving this problem, the entrepreneurial community, of course, this will require a lot of money. And I understand when the businessmen, the tycoons they are buying yachts, I don't know, jewelry, watches. I never have had a watch, a wristwatch, because I don't understand the value of an expensive wristwatch. Really, I don't understand that. When the humanity is facing such global issues, why do I need to spend 5 million rubles on a wristwatch? What's the point?
Человечество пока вот до такой глобальной
So I think that humans are still not mature to get united over the same, with the shared goals. Well, I totally agree with you. And outdated software and devices, yeah, it's true. At the same time, in certain parts of healthcare, AI is already in use. I will not give you examples, but if you want to learn more, you can contact me. And I'll tell you how AI is used today in Russia to diagnose diseases. So when we have IoT medical devices, of course, hackers will try to attack them, to get the information, to mine for information, to also pursue some other more dangerous goals. So protecting medical IoT devices should be a priority for those who develop them, because it's human health that is at stake. Human-computer interfaces. Well, actually, you refuse to give us examples right now, but I'm going to do that now. There are technologies that healthcare is already using, like prosthetics and exoskeletons. Brain-computer interfaces are cool technology which is used not only in healthcare but in other areas as well. In particular, you can use it not to understand if a dispatcher, the critical production facility, is tired. It's important to monitor the tiredness of people operating aircraft, operating turbines, etc. By 2030, I think we are going to see a much broader implementation of that particular technology. Again, it's important, it's useful, and this technology will definitely be used in smart homes. Homes are already pretty smart, but of course it will be very useful to control your house with this technology. And the autonomous vehicles, we can also drive autonomous vehicles using brain-computer interface. Of course, I can't imagine seen too many autonomous cars on the streets of Moscow, and whenever I see such a car on the street, I try to get away from it as far as possible. Although there are humans in pilotless vehicles, even now controlling the driving, but I'm still trying to get away because I'm not sure that the car will be able to react fast enough to my movements. As to the attack vectors, of course, there will be spoofing DDoS, side channel attacks, and version updates attacks. Biometric data. Biometric is not exactly healthcare, but for some reason I keep associating biometric data with healthcare. Of course, biometry is already used a lot, and you know that Russians do not usually smile. They only smile when they need to make a payment for a purchase in a store. Probably Russia is one of the more advanced countries in terms of introducing biometric payments, and biometry is evolving and probably will be able to get on board of aircraft when we are traveling without the documents, without the passports. People tend to leave them at home. Often it makes people worry. They don't sleep well before the day of travel. So once again, biometry will be under attack, and the attacks will be varied. It will be a problem for those who are designing this technology. Mostly here we talk about attacks on the contractors and the quantum attack. Well, actually, I have my own opinion about that. I'll keep it to the end of this session. And just like in other industries, the biometry technology attacks will be automated and quite sophisticated. Web3 and around. This technology is developing fast: blockchain, cryptocurrency. In Russia, too, blockchain, given the pace of its development, of course, intruders will be abusing it to attack infrastructures mostly. As to digital currencies and their active implementation, there is talk about having a digital ruble. It's been around for the past couple of years. It's one of the priorities. But as soon as this currency is launched, I don't mean in the test mode, I mean a full-scale launch, the adversaries will be those who will try to hack it. Extraterrestrial attacks. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to keep this part of the presentation to me, to myself. Well, actually, I want to bring you not down to earth, but rather up in the sky. By 2030, there will be extraterrestrial attacks. At the moment, we don't have many records of those. They are more targeted. They are not really on a mass scale, but because the whole infrastructure is critical, it must be attractive to the attackers. And if something like a cyber war happens around 2030 plus, the satellites will be attacked by the attackers because they are running old software. We also have a lot of terrestrial infrastructure that supports the satellites in space. And actually, satellite attacks can lead to lots of problems in daily life and in the development of the potential of a country, in particular of Russia. Just wanted to mention that, of course, if satellites are attacked, there will be no communication in some remote regions that are using satellite communications will be totally disconnected. Probably we should also mention disruptions in geolocation and navigation services. Denise talked about that. Military risks are also pertinent. We've been talking about autonomous vehicles, and you hear about that every day. We know what these drones are capable of. They shut down airports, and probably the infrastructure will be left without control if satellites are attacked. And you can even undermine the defenses of a whole country if you attack a satellite. Probably this will be a super efficient means of starting, continuing, and finishing a cyber war. Satellites will be target number one, and these attacks will exacerbate the already difficult geopolitical situation. So satellite attacks probably will be the second factor or sign that will enable us to tell that cyber war is coming. Once satellites fall under the attack, we can say that, yeah, we are approaching a cyber war. We are talking about 2030, and I'm not sure that in 2030 we are going to have a super threat of, the quantum computing will be a super threat or a super target for hackers. Recently, our colleagues published a study where they researched the probability of encryption losing to quantum technology. In 2030, the probability is still low. It will start growing only in several decades' time. So I don't think that we need to start thinking about that or worrying about it around 2030. And quantum computing, of course, those computers will be under attack, but they need to leave labs when they do so. And I do not expect quantum computing to be outside of labs by 2030. And in particular in Russia. We mentioned AI on multiple occasions today, so to finish the presentation, let's go back to AI. Anton, what do you think AI, has it penetrated all aspects of our lives? And you talked about attacks of critical infrastructure. It's best not to digitize anything, but to be protected. With AI, do you have more advantages, or we have more, or we are facing more threats? Well, AI is an endless, limitless topic to discuss. I mean, you keep hearing about AI on every corner, all the visionaries, all the futurologists. I believe it's their duty to make a pronouncement on AI. AI is a simulation of biological neural network, a simplified version of a biological neural network. And let's answer a question that we can, I think, that we can all understand. Can humans be hacked? Yes, of course, humans can be hacked in many different ways. You can use psychology, you can use chemistry. We know of cases when nations were hacked in Germany in the 1930s, in Ukraine in 2010s. The human brain, unlike technology as it exists now, is a much more complex system. AI helps us understand better the operations of a human brain. But the more complex AI technology becomes, the easier, the more susceptible it will be to hacking. So my prediction is by 2030, we will see first hack into, say, generative network, some AI technology. And I think that it's going to happen pretty soon. Again, the more complex it becomes, the easier the target it gets. I'm sure that it will be hacked in the foreseeable future. So on the one hand, these technologies will be deployed. There is a romantic notion of this technology. Many visionaries say that, yeah, let's have it everywhere. It's so cool. We'll be granted a new level of comfort with this technology. But the risks that emerge in this context are out of proportion compared to the current benefits. So you have to be cautious. And at the moment, I don't see that the leading experts are cautious enough. So I'm against of using a lot of such technologies, say, at critical infrastructure facilities. Thank you. I think we need to round up this discussion. And to finish it off, there's a question I have. We discussed many things. Which of these predictions are most probable, and which of these predictions are definitely not going to come to life? Well, I believe the most realistic prediction is that the cybersecurity company profits are going to surge. Oh, great. Great news. Yeah, I have no doubt of that. We are at the verge of cyber armies emerging. This is quite realistic, and we are going to have it 100%. This is assured, this is guaranteed. I will also risk predicting. I've been looking at your slides, and I agree that deepfakes will be produced in real time. And maybe even biometric data will be forged one day, and the services that we are all getting remotely today, in 15, 20 years, probably will have to go back to the offices, to the whole office infrastructure, and the remote format will disappear because the technologies will be able to forge human biometric. And even the vintage cars maybe will come back into fashion, and maybe those who are buying them now and putting them into their garages to store are seeing something that we don't. Thank you very much. We are done.